So, do you want to read this one from Raul?
Raul.
Yes.
Okay. So, Raul on Facebook asked. He asked. Okay, let's start again. Okay. So, Raul on Facebook asked, "Hey, Laura and Robin, I'm coming with my 3 kids and wife in August. Any tips for traveling with kids in New Zealand, please?"
Right, first things first, congratulations on having a wife and 3 kids. You're going to have a hell of a holiday. No, I'm joking. It's going to be a blast. It's always awesome travel with kids. It's just that, and you're correct to ask, usually you need a little bit more preparation for that. And usually you need to keep more things in mind. To be fair, I mean, when we do write articles about helping you guys, travel with kids or with friends and this and that, we always find out that actually traveling with kids and family is sometimes even easier than traveling with a group of friends because your kids kind of have to do what you tell them to. I mean, you make the itinerary and everybody follows this itinerary. If you travel with a bunch of mates, they're not happy with the itinerary, they actually can and will stray off and go wherever they want, and then that makes the whole organization much harder. So to be fair, traveling with kids is actually quite cool.
Yeah, that's true.
So what we did for you is that we wrote down basically a bunch of tips that we think are extremely important for people traveling with kids. There is a list of, I don't know, probably about 20. So let's go through that and we'll give you a bit of an insight of each of them. Do you want me to get started? Or
I'll get started.
Okay, cool.
So if you are traveling as a family, just because family rooms are a little bit more scarce in comparison to, for instance, just double rooms or dorm rooms, then it is a good idea to book early. Make your itinerary and try and book as early as possible, really, to get family rooms around the country. Alternatively, you could hire a big motorhome, so you don't have to worry about booking family rooms, but maybe with 3 kids that would be a little bit chaotic. I'm not sure. It depends what sort of family you are, I guess. Another tip I would give is to search for family deals. Pretty much all the tours in New Zealand have some sort of family offer, and they usually have, an offer for one person alone, and then they have a family offer, and that's usually a little bit less than if you were to pay for just, 5 people individually. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Or if it's not obvious, always just ask, do you have any family rates? Do you want to go on with that?
So the next one is sunscreen. So we always talk about the sun in New Zealand. There is a hole in the ozone layer right above New Zealand, making New Zealand one of the country with the highest rate of skin cancer, just because there is no protection between your skin and the sun. For this reason, you need sunscreen, any time of the year, especially for kids which have a much more sensitive skin. So we advise you to get some eco-friendly sunscreen, because they're usually much better for your kids' skin. You don't straight away want to put a bunch of chemical in there. So make sure to put some eco-friendly sunscreen there. On the same kind of train of thought right here, there are some areas of New Zealand with a lot of sandflies. Now, sandflies are those tiny mosquitoes which are close to a lot of bodies of water. Now, as an adult, a lot of people complain about it, but I think it's fine. It's a few bites and it's totally okay. But for kids, it may be way worse, and the kid which is itching everywhere is not going to be pleasant to travel with. That's for sure. So sending insect repellent, and something I will strongly advise to go for a natural one, because it's very famous that the DEET, this component in insect repellent, is actually really bad and cancerous and everything. And so it is present in most chemical insect repellent. We found that some of the natural ones, like the stick or all those kind of things, work absolutely wonderfully. So go for insect repellent for sure. Do you want to take it over?
Another thing that you can do is pick parent roles. So by this I mean basically when you obviously when you're going on holiday, you're in a new country, it's going to be a little bit stressful, not only for you guys as parents trying to sort of figure out how the supermarkets work here, and all the different sort of day-to-day things are going to be a lot harder than usual. But on top of that, when you have kids to look after, it can get a lot more stressful than, for instance, just going to the supermarket back home. So if you sort of decide some roles when you're going out to each place between the 2 parents, so one person keeps an eye on the kids, make sure they're entertained, and the other person sort of works out how this works, or where they need to go with the directions next to the next destination they're heading to, or what they need to buy from the supermarket, and what they should be getting, what's going to be suitable for the kids, for instance. If you both have your own roles and sort of decide that with a plan before you go and do each activity, or go and do some sort of, I keep using the supermarket idea because it's the only thing I can think of right now, but yeah, having those sort of roles planned makes it a lot less stressful and go a lot less smoothly as well. Another way you can make things go a lot more smoothly and keep the kids entertained is to give them a camera. You can give them just a little cheap camera so that they can be taking photos of all the amazing things they get to see in New Zealand, and that's a really good way to get them sort of engaged in the trip and just really enjoying their holidays.
And now for the next one, I don't know how old are your kids, but you want to pack enough nappies. Not packing from home, you are definitely able to buy nappies in New Zealand supermarkets, but when you're on the road, it's always handy to have them right here because there are a few places where you may not find supermarkets. And in the same vein, you're going to want to have all the accessories that you need, maybe the portable sterilizer. You're definitely going to want a bag that you're going to be able to contain all the dirty nappies without smelling too bad in the car, that's for sure. So yeah, and you're going to want to have a first aid kit which has all the things that you need for your kids. So make sure that you keep in mind that you pack all the stuff that you're going to need for your kids. And again, the nappies, you can definitely buy them wherever you are in New Zealand. Now, obviously, it's a road trip, you want some snacks and you want some games. For the snacks, try to keep them natural. From a couple of our friends actually told us that they switched from chocolate and candies to some natural kind of nuts and snacks like that, and they found that the kids didn't have the sugar rush as much, so that was a bit easier. And some games, games that you can play in the car to keep them entertained, and some games that you can play with them when you're at the hotel or something like that. Or when you're at the campsite when there's no TV or anything like that. So make sure there's something that you can interact with, so board games, those kind of things. Have a couple of options that are pretty good. Now, another thing that is really important when you are traveling anywhere with kids is you tell them a little bit about the destination. Even before you arrive in New Zealand, explain to them where is New Zealand, use a map, try to get them to understand the whole thing. Because, well, for kids, it's much harder to comprehend that you're traveling that many kilometers or that many miles away from home, and why are things so different. So use that as an educational and growing experience. I think that would be pretty important.
Yeah.
Do you want to take over?
Yeah, so something that a lot of parents overlook is insurance for their kids. You can actually get full family insurance. You don't just need to specifically insure yourself, but there are actually some insurance companies that include kids on your insurance for free. So make sure you just dive into that and make sure you get the right policy that is going to insure your whole family. Another really cool accessory that I've seen a lot of people using in New Zealand are some travel prams, which they fold up super small and they are pretty ideal if you are traveling with a baby. Also, when you're booking a flight to New Zealand, you can actually book seats with a bassinet so that you can, obviously if you're traveling with a baby, you actually get a lot of space in front of your seat, and then they have a little cot which they put in front of you, and it's actually free to request this and get this sort of seat, but they do have limited seats, so make sure that you book that as soon as you book your plane ticket, see if there is a bassinet seat available. So when you are in New Zealand and you are in, when you get to a new town or a new sort of maybe a reserve or a park or something like that, always plan a meeting point just so, in case someone gets lost or goes astray, always plan a meeting point so you can all get back together. And another way to not lose your kids when you're traveling in New Zealand is to get one of those really nifty little child locators, which are little GPS locators. You can buy them off Amazon, for instance, and they just can clip onto your child's backpack or even a loop on their jeans pocket or something, and then you can just track them on your phone if anything crazy should happen, like you lose them.
All right, now kids food, obviously you'll be able to find all babies and kids food in almost every supermarket around New Zealand, so there's no need to panic too much about that. Almost every single restaurant will have a kids menu, so make sure you ask for it because they don't necessarily just give it to you straight away. You'll find out in New Zealand restaurant you have to ask for everything. If you want water, you've got to ask for it. If you are breastfeeding, it is totally okay to breastfeed in public in New Zealand. So yeah, just keep that in mind. You're totally fine with that. And if you are boarding any boats, buses, car, tools, kayak, canoes, wakas, whatever you are boarding, make sure that the kids are boarding first and you board second, just so you make sure that you can count how many little heads you have with you. So that's basically our tips for traveling around New Zealand with kids. There is a lot of them which are common sense, but maybe we mentioned a couple of things that you were like, gosh, I didn't think of that. So I hope that this helped. If you do find that useful, like and subscribe. We are here to help every single week.